What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dog Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo. Get some fucking French toast. And we are going to have a hell of a Saturday morning. We're doing our show a little earlier than normal. Normally we go in at 1 o'clock on the East Coast, but I have some things I got to do today. I have a celebration of life for a family member. So we are going a little early, 11 a.m. my time. Evo, you're up at the ass crack of dawn out there in Arizona. 8 o'clock right now, right?
It is 8 o'clock. I normally would have been at work for over an hour already, so not a big deal.
Right. Not a big deal.
Not getting paid. Not getting paid, but at work.
Oh, man. Well, hopefully we can get paid this weekend and make some fucking money for the people with our bets. We had our Thursday night game. Did not go the way you had picked, but I'm sure you are not frustrated with the result watching Aaron Rodgers pouty face on TV. But we got a lot of football to get into. We got 14 games to go over today. We have one to recap, and we got a little bit of baseball to talk about. But before we do that, my man, how you doing, Evo? Brother, how are you? What's going on in the life?
I'm good. It's still government shutdown day, whatever, fucking 17, 18, something like that. So just trucking along. Everything's pretty much normal, And yeah, Thursday night wasn't my prediction, but it worked out for me fantasy-wise. Mm-hmm. Love seeing Aaron Rodgers lose. And then in addition to the loss, we get to see Aaron Rodgers get upset at his own teammates and complain to officials when things don't go his way. And it just continues to kind of push the narrative that we've generally always pushed on the show, which is he's a bit of a piece of shit. So I like that. I like that. And I do like seeing underdogs win. Like I'm always able to find the good in most things, and seeing underdog win in this game, because the Bengals absolutely were the underdogs here, despite Pittsburgh having, I believe under the Tomlin era, never having won a Thursday night game versus a divisional opponent. It just kind of carried through. It was great. But look, last week didn't get Thursday night right, and then I had a pretty good week otherwise. So maybe that trend continues going forward.
I hope so, man. I have had a terrible time on the standalone games. I was very happy to get this win. I love watching the Steelers lose. And also, this game was tough to watch a little bit because, I had to watch Joe Flacco go out there and dice up the Steelers. Joe Flacco that just played the Steelers team with my Browns, and we got destroyed. So there's a lot of questions that are happening here in Cleveland right now. A lot of questions happening in the AFC North in general as it pertains to Andrew Berry and what the fuck he was planning on trying to do with this trade and how it's all going to work out. But before we start diving into all of that, man, we got to talk a little bit about baseball. We haven't really talked about baseball much since our seasons have ended. I was pumped that my Guardians made it in, huge comeback, but after they got knocked out, I wasn't all that invested. Teams that I don't necessarily like or follow too closely have been in it, but there's a guy that we love on the show that we've been following in Shohei Ohtani. I mean, I think everybody should love this guy, but he did something last night that is just ungodly special in terms of athletic performance. The man went 3 for 3 with 3 home runs while also pitching 6 innings, allowing no earned runs, fucking 2 hits and striking out 10. That's just unbelievable numbers. Like the comparison in other sports, I'm not even sure it really exists. Like if that would be like Pat Mahomes, the star player of the NFL, going out there throwing for 300 yards, 3 tuds, and then getting 2 fucking picks on the opposite side of the ball as well. Like it's just insane. It shouldn't be able to be done. We are so lucky to be able to watch Shohei Ohtani with our own eyes. It's special. Dodgers sweep. They're headed to the World Series. I mean, and if they continue to roll like this, who's not thinking that the Dodgers are going to repeat? First time a repeat champion in quite some time in MLB.
Yeah, that's Shohei is definitely a unicorn. I don't think it's premature at all to talk about him being the best baseball player ever. Because he does like you are used to seeing a pitcher or a hitter or a fielder. And sometimes they're able to do 2 of the 3 things. He's able to play essentially like every position. I mean, I guess we haven't seen him out there in a catcher's mask, but like
Right.
he's able to do everything, play it both sides of the ball and do it not just good, but at elite levels. So like the conversation of him being the greatest ever to play the sport is absolutely warranted at this point, I believe. Um, and that sort of a performance in the playoffs and clutch moments, it says a lot about him and the type of player that he is. I saw that they believe that he might have been genetically engineered to take down American baseball, and if that's the case, like I'm almost here for it because
It's working.
baseball needs an injection of these sorts of fantastic players and excitement. Um, and he's just phenomenal.
Yeah. So fun to watch, man. All right, I don't want to take up too much time with baseball, though. I know that people did not come here to listen to us talk about baseball. They came to listen to us talk about some football. We got a game Thursday night, fucking excellent Thursday night game, man. I was pumped like that. This game turned out to be good. There was a chance that it could have been a blowout, but it didn't go that way. The Bengals kind of came out firing with the fire of Joe Flacco, the fighting Joes, because he was just slinging the fucking pill all over the field, man. Bengals get the win 33-31 shootout on Thursday night. We were talking about it in text. I was like, I hope that this is a shootout. I want to make some money because I had some overs and I had some same game parlays. Plus, watching Aaron Rodgers lose a shootout in prime time is always funny. And the Bengals kind of bring the Steelers back down a peg. It was all good for me. It did hurt watching Joe Flacco eviscerate the Steelers defense, but I mean, he figured out the trick. Just throw it to fucking Jamar Chase every play, good things will happen.
Yeah. Look, the start of this game didn't feel as good for the Bengals because you look at the Bengals defense, we already know they're really bad. They're down Trey Hendrickson, but they don't have a heavyweight defense. And I am literally talking about the weight, which was highlighted in the broadcast quite a bit, particularly with that Steelers offense. They're light in the pants on the Bengals side of the ball. They don't have big defenders. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh is trotting out there more than any other team in the league, these heavy sets. 3 tight end, 1 wide receiver, a lot of times putting in another offensive lineman at one of those tight end spots to try to kind of play the bully ball game. And through definitely the first drive and part of the second drive, which did end up not getting a touchdown, they were absolutely dominant at the line of scrimmage and getting into the second level, creating lanes for Jalen Warren. And it looked like it was going to be very effective. It looked like what we talk about on this show a lot is that if you're able to control that line of scrimmage, control the tempo of the game through the run game, that you are able to create a bit of a stranglehold on a team. And it pushes the other team to get into desperation mode almost and really start throwing the ball a lot. The thing is that the Bengals team is kind of set up for that. They are set up for shootouts because up until this game, they have been terrible at running the ball.
Yeah.
And because they were able to really open the pass game up so much by having a competent quarterback back there in Joe Flacco, who was absolutely force feeding Jamar Chase, and it was working, that started to change the way that the Steelers defense was playing. They had to play more coverage than run defense. And then all of a sudden we saw Chase Brown start to have his best game of the year. Almost doubled his average rushing yards in a game in just the first half. So it opened that offense up quite a bit. The defense got a little bit sticky there for the Bengals. Were able to intercept Aaron Rodgers twice, and they weren't necessarily fluky. They were actual good defensive back interceptions where, that last one where the ball was kind of ripped away from DK Metcalf at the sideline. Like, that's a good play by a defender. And so getting to watch the Bengals stay scrappy, be competitive on offense, which we thought that they could be until Flacco went down, kind of that glass cannon build of an offense or of a team where it's all points and no defense. They were able to do that and outlast the Steelers in this game. Yeah, in addition to that, it like you said, it is always fun for us to get to watch Aaron Rodgers lose. I really enjoyed the hard camera angles on him on the flea flicker, which it seems like he had checked out of and actually wanted it to be a run, but then Warren ended up flipping it back to him, and there was no one available for Aaron to throw to, so he had to dirt it, and then they focus the camera right on Aaron, and you see in slow-mo, what the fuck are you doing? And him just berating his player on the field, which I get to a point, but also Aaron knows the game. He's been in this league for 2 decades, basically. Like, he knows everything's focused on him, which is what he likes. And he never wants to take responsibility for anything. And I'm not even saying that that was his responsibility if he actually checked out of the play, but, you know, have a little bit of aloofness maybe and like, don't completely
Showing up
trash a
your
player.
teammates on the field is not a good look, no matter where you are. Like, it's never.
It's not
good to
exactly
show up.
productive in the moment, you know. Maybe that's a conversation for the sideline, which they were going to go to quickly, and then also to see him get tackled relatively accidentally by Broderick Jones after a late touchdown, and get up and immediately start to lose it.
He was fucking furious about that celebration tackle.
I get it to an extent. You and I aren't young men. No. If someone were to come up from behind me and fucking hit me and knock my ass over, I'm getting up with fucking fire and passion. I'm about to throw down. But if you did it to me, I'm gonna be like, come on, man, what the fuck?
What the
and
fuck?
Then we're gonna laugh about it.
Yeah.
And he came up ready to throw fisticuffs, having to be separated essentially. David Bakhtiari is in the background laughing. Like he's unable to kind of separate himself from being the villain, I think. Like, he just has that narcissistic villain aura about himself, and everyone is out to get him, and he is the guy, and don't fuck with me. It's a moment of passion and happiness from a young player, and he kind of spoiled it by taking the old grumpy man approach. Like I said, I get it to an extent, but also he is playing a professional sport where you get hit all the time, and he's wearing pads. I can't even, it's been so long since I put the pads on. I can't even put myself in the shoes of like, oh, if I got knocked over while playing football in a celebration, would I even be upset? I don't know, honestly. Either way, it just kind of continues that arc. I love it. And yeah, you brought up a big piece of it, which is Joe Flacco going there. He's barely been on the team a week. Played a good game against Green Bay and obviously did well enough to take down the current AFC North leaders in the Steelers through a really good aerial assault. It just kind of shows Joe Flacco might not have been that problem up there in Cleveland. It brings forth a lot more question marks about the Browns, their front office, trading it. Obviously, those questions were posed to Stefanski, and he has basically kind of shoved them off, not answering them. I'm focused on this week, which is, yes, true, toe the company line. Like, sure. I get that to an extent, but the fans are at their breaking point already, where if you want credibility with the fans at all, you probably need to answer that, even if it isn't the answer they want to hear, of like, me and the front office are completely, in line with one another, but we're focused on this week. Rather than that, it was just, I'm not focusing on the past, we're focusing on this week, which just, the inference is that no, you are not in lockstep with your front office. Right. And it's what people already kind of generally, I believe, think is happening there, but it's becoming more unwritten but obvious at this point. And then I'm seeing so many more questions now. Was Deshaun Watson not the problem there? Is it Stefanski? You're seeing nobody go there and be successful. Meanwhile,
successful. Joe Flacco was successful. Baker Mayfield was successful until he got hurt. So I agree that Stefanski needs to go. I think that Stefanski, coming off of his 2 times coach of the year, his system has not updated at all is the problem. There's no motions. We're not playing a modern NFL. game. Now, if we used his concepts and updated it, I think it could work. But he's so fucking stuck in his ways that it's time to cut bait. And Andrew Berry, I mean, the Deshaun Watson thing, I think I'm going to have to actually see Deshaun go somewhere else and be productive before I'm like, oh, okay, well, it was definitely Kevin's fault. Because Deshaun looked fucking terrible. He looked awful.
I don't think you're going to get that opportunity. I don't think anyone's going to touch him with a 10-foot pole. Definitely not.
That's how bad he looked.
Yeah.
So I think that all of those things can be true. I think that it was a mistake to bring in Deshaun Watson. I think that Kevin Stefanski at one point had a system that worked because he had the personnel that could make it work, but he hasn't fucking updated that. And at this point, he's so set in his ways and they're so smart guy in the room that both of them need to be let go, and we need to probably try another opportunity. I think all of those things can be true. It's not one or the other.
Absolutely. You don't see what is, and I'm sorry because it sounds so bad, but you don't see the monumental failures that the Browns have been incurring year after year without multiple failures at multiple levels. Because at the end of the day, this is a professional football team, and there is talent on this team, and that wins out at times. We saw it in the Green Bay game. But in order for so many things to go wrong on so many different levels and at a consistent clip, it can't be one person that's tanking the situation.
It could be Jimmy at the very top, but that's not a problem that can be solved.
Well, even then, it's if he's making the wrong decisions at the top, typically, a broken clock's right twice a day, right? Like there's guys below that even in their inability to conduct themselves the right way at a professional organization will hit correctly. Though you can't. I know that you have good players on this team.
Yeah.
And those guys aren't there to fucking fail. They're there for money. They're there for a contract. They want to win. They want to continue their careers. They can make things happen. But it takes a lot of bad situations culminating for it to go on how it has for so long. And that's why I think that you guys, while things look dire, are not that far away from being a pretty good and competitive team. But the two major pieces, I believe, have to be getting your front office right. That's cap situation and things like that. And then the coaching right now. And so I completely agree that, despite re-signing Andrew Berry recently, you probably need to move on from him. You probably need a new head coach. You need a culture change, and you need someone that's going to be able to come in there and actually stand up to the owner and say, look, you need to look at your history. Your interjections have not helped this team. It's pretty obvious. Try it my way. Give me a leash. Give me 3, 4, 5 years to show you my way can do better than what you're doing. It might not be insurmountably better, but as long as it's better, I can show you that progress. You need to trust me and let me do it. And that's going to take one hell of an alpha style coach. I don't know how many of those are out there that will
Brian
be
Flores
like that.
B-Flow.
That's look, I agree that he's that type of coach.
I want B-Flow.
I agree he's that type of coach, but I just I don't know that the ownership will sign off on that because he is currently in a fight with the owners.
Yeah, they will. Yeah. But I can hope. I can dream. I just don't think that's going to happen. But all right, brother, we ready to start hopping into some actual gambling because we're about 20 minutes in. We got a little baseball, got a recap. I'm ready to start hammering on some bets, but also I was brought down a sandwich because we're going to leave shortly after this. So I'm ready to start this thing. I'm going to turn around and devour a sandwich real quick.
Oh, no, I want to see you eat on screen. We need the mukbang on Raw Dog Sports.
Yeah, we don't need that. We're not doing that.
All right. So first up, we have the LA Rams playing Jacksonville, but they are not in Jacksonville. They are out there in London again. We have the Rams -3 points at -110 odds, over under of 44.5. Another overseas game, another early morning tomorrow if you want to catch all the games. And we won't even talk about Monday night yet, but god damn it, NFL, I fucking hate you.
Dude, this is the shittiest week in the history of scheduling. This week fucking sucks. You don't like the fact that they double up Monday night games? I agree. And it's worse when they do it this fucking way. The game starts at 10 o'clock Eastern. Who the fuck is watching that?
I mean, I will. But
Yeah, because it's fucking 7:00 for you. It's bullshit. They have got to figure out this fucking schedule so they can stop doing this nonsense.
Yeah. At this point, it's one of those things. It's like, do you do a Tuesday game or something? Like, shit, just figure it out. But either way, Rams and Jags out there in London. Now, Jacksonville is one of the most
teams on a fucking bye, and you completely negate this goddamn problem.
There's a lot of solutions, and the one that they've selected is the worst option. Jacksonville, pretty frequent team out there in the UK because traditionally they're pretty bad, and the NFL has been putting worse teams over there traditionally, especially as we started to branch a little bit more into Europe. Now they're putting better games out there, but Jacksonville actually has a pretty strong fan base just because they were force-fed to the Europeans. And the Rams are going out there as a pretty damn good team right now, and Jags obviously are doing pretty good themselves. And look, I actually saw this. I believe it was from Thor Nystrom on X, who I very much so respect. He was like, why, if we're trying to breach more into the European market, and they are, and I don't mean this in necessarily the worst way here, but they're less knowledgeable football fans than the traditional American fan. And of course, we want to get them up to our standards so that way we can kind of branch more into Europe.
Yeah, for sure.
Why not have your preseason game over there? Like, every team plays a preseason game over there. We have a week break in between the last week of the preseason and the regular season. Like, have the teams have every team go to Europe and play their final preseason game in Europe. Like, you have to find more sites and stuff like that to play, or you split it out throughout the preseason.
Easy to sell to a lot of countries. Any goddamn country where there's a U.S. military base in Europe, sign us up for a fucking game. I guarantee you they'll sell that bitch out.
And you can start to spread into other markets. I mean, obviously, we're seeing Spain, Dublin, UK, Germany. You've got 4 different countries.
Watching a game at fucking in Rota, Spain.
It would be intense. It would be awesome. It would
be the greatest. Oh, that would be an incredible fucking.
And there's talks about Italy, but Italy is not as big of a football scene yet. But obviously, if they're wanting to break into it, you've got to break into it somehow. And then there was in the past a preseason game played in Japan. And I know that the NFL wants to consider that. They're branching into South America. You could split all these markets. We're talking about 16 preseason games in the third week of the preseason. You can find 16 sites to do that, spread around the world. And then the players
spread out over the course of the 3 weeks and make it even easier.
Yeah, but even that week 3, I don't think you have to have them all played on the same day. Spread it out over 4 days.
That's true. Very, very true.
Because you still have a big gap in between when the regular season starts. You're meeting the intent of getting it spread out all across the world, but you're not. It's less of an issue for the players. It's less of an issue for the fans, the true blue fans here in the U.S. I think that's an idea that they should have looked at, but of course, a regular season NFL game carries a little bit more weight to it, and they want to force people to have to enjoy the Europe games if your team is playing over there. I think it's silly. But either way, we are talking about this individual game in Europe where we are at right now. Rams versus Jaguars, and the Rams are favored -3 points in this game. Mike, where are you going?
Listen, man, this Jags team is much improved, but once again, I do have a vested interest in them losing. I think that this Rams team is really, really good. I think that they've been clipped a couple of times, but in general, I think they're really starting to find a rhythm. Puka Nacua being out is going to cause a big problem, right? Like, Puka Nacua is legit, but they have other weapons. This is a very, very well-coached team. I still like the Rams more than I like the Jags, so I'm not going to drop any points. I'm just taking the Rams on the money line. With the way the Jags have played this year, I'm not willing to drop points. They've been pretty good. And it took me a couple weeks to finally see it. But you know what? They have my respect right now, but I hope they lose this game. And I'm going to pick them to lose this game on the money line.
All right. I'm actually going Jacksonville plus the points in this one. Not because I think Jacksonville's a better team. I do think the Rams are a better team, but the loss of Puka is a big one for this team. In addition to that, Jacksonville, because they are such common travelers to Europe, they have to have this situation down. Despite having a new head coach, the organization is so embedded into European operations that they probably know all the ins and outs. They're going to make it the easiest possible situation for their players going over there. At the end of the day, though, the Jaguars are a much better team this year. They have a pretty solid defense, and these European games typically are lower scoring. So if I'm going to get 3 points with a team that has got a good defense, an okay offense, understands playing in Europe, and they're going up against a somewhat neutered offense there in the Rams. Yes, they have Devontae. Yes, they have Kyren Williams, but it could be a closer game. And if they are focusing more on the run game with Kyren Williams, that leads to a lower scoring game. If you're going to give me some points there with Jacksonville, I'll take the points.
All right, look, that makes sense. I taking the points for Jags, but 3 points, man, it's tough. I avoid push at all possibilities.
Yeah, I got you. All right, next up, Philadelphia Eagles going into Minnesota versus my Vikings. Currently, the Eagles are favored -2.5 points. If you typically look at home field advantages being that 3-point swing, that means that the Eagles are truly a 5.5-point favorite in this one without that home field advantage. Over under a 43.5 in this game. Carson Wentz is going to be starting for my Vikings again. JJ McCarthy will be active. Kind of. He's the third emergency quarterback in this one while they're still working on his rehab and lower body mechanics. But good news for my Vikings. It sounds like we will have probably our healthiest offensive line that we have had all season. Brian O'Neill, the right tackle, still game time decision, questionable whether or not he will play. But we are getting left guard Donovan Jackson back after that wrist surgery. Christian Darrisaw still going to be out there. Blake Brendel again starting at center after doing a very good job against your Browns in his first ever play at center. Wes Phillips, offensive coordinator, came out and said, this guy's played every position except for center along the offensive line. And after him playing center, we think it actually might be his best position. So we might have actually found some sort of a solution there at center, which would be pretty fucking cool. Nice. Except for he'll be like the biggest center in the league at 6'7". Okay. And so that bodes well for the Vikings a little bit. However, a lot of people are looking at this game as kind of a get-right game for the Eagles. They just lost 2 in a row. Mm-hmm. The mentals there are maybe in shambles. Are they going to lean back into what kind of was making them a really good team last year and into this year, and that's the run game? Saquon Barkley is Saquon Barkley. He hasn't looked phenomenal this year necessarily, but this is a team with a good offensive line, a good run game, and they're going up against my Vikings, who have not looked great in run defense this year. Is this a potential get-right game for the Eagles? That's kind of the way that the sharps and overall bettors are leaning, is that this is where the Eagles get back right. But Vikings just had that bye week, got a little bit healthier. I think we could actually have a competitive game here. Where are you going in this one, Mike?
I do think this will be a competitive game. I actually like you guys plus the points here because you got KOC with a veteran quarterback. They are coming off the bye. Now, granted, it's Carson Wentz, right? So that let's take a big grain of salt. But at the same time, I have seen KOC do some incredible goddamn things with quarterbacks. Guys that I had no faith in whatsoever. You coming off of a bye and the Eagles team that's kind of reeling, I think this game can absolutely stay close. So I'm going to take the Vikings plus 2.5 points here. I think it's possible that the Eagles beat you guys for sure. I could see something weird happening in this game where, a couple field goals where this thing just keeps it close. And you guys are not necessarily known for getting your asses beat or blowing people out either. You guys typically have been playing people close. The Eagles kind of played people close this year as well. So I'm going to take the points with you guys and go Vikings plus 2.5.
All right. This game does scare me a little bit for some of the reasons that I brought up, specifically that run game. And if the Eagles focus more on, hey, let's not make everyone in the team happy, let's make sure that we get a win and we can be happy about that. One interesting, or actually a couple interesting stats that I came upon, though. Jalen Hurts and his passing ability. He, when being blitzed, and the defense is in man coverage, there's almost zero change in his efficiency. He is still just as efficient as if he's not even being blitzed with that man coverage out there. However, the Vikings play primarily zone in coverage when he is being blitzed with zone coverage, his EPA per play drops almost by 50%. So it actually changes up his passing dynamic quite a bit, which again kind of leans though more into the focus of run game, run game, run game. That being said, in like 6 of the last matchups between the Vikings and the Eagles, there has been at least one touchdown of 40 yards or greater. Whoever gets that 40-yard touchdown or greater ends up winning the game. There's been several of those games where both teams have touchdowns of greater than 40 yards, and whoever scores the first 40-yard or more touchdown ends up winning the game. So something interesting to kind of watch in this game, if you are watching like I am, if someone gets a big breakout touchdown, that's probably edging a little bit more towards who's going to end up winning this game. I would like to believe that my Vikings are going to win this one. I really obviously want to be a homer, want my team to win. I want us to go to 4-2, but I think this is going to be a very difficult one. That being said, Carson Wentz is kind of shucking the whole revenge game. I guess this is the first time that he's actually going to be starting playing against Philadelphia, his old team.
Really?
He's been on other organizations that have played Philly, but not played against them. But this is possibly his best opportunity to get one back. I'll take my Vikings plus the points as well. But I had serious thoughts about taking Eagles on the money line just because I do think that this is still the Super Bowl champions from last year. They lost 2 games in a row, which is not a common thing. So I feel like they absolutely could be using this as a get-right game.
All right, brother. All right. I like it. Let's head down. We're heading to Kansas City next, right?
Yeah. So Raiders going into Kansas City versus the Chiefs. Big spread in this one. Kansas City minus 12.5 points, over under a 45.5. Chiefs are looking to get right. They're finally getting Rashee Rice back after his suspension. And the Raiders are kind of in a tumultuous situation. They were able to get a win last week, but it wasn't necessarily the most pretty situation, and they weren't going up against a good team. That's why we see this spread where it's at 12.5 points. That's a big spread that I don't like betting double digits in general. But also, this Chiefs team isn't a team that goes and blows teams out, it seems like. So I'm going to keep this one relatively simple. Chiefs win. They're the better team here. I don't have any confidence in this Raiders team right now. So give me the Chiefs on the money line.
And I'm going to tell you right here, dude, pretty simple. Chiefs money line. They're a far superior team. They are getting healthy. They are getting guys back from suspension and Rashee Rice. And the Raiders are absolutely grasping at straws unless they're handing the ball to Ashton Jeanty.
Alrighty. Next up, New Orleans Saints going into Chicago versus the Bears. This Bears team that won last week. Yeah, you can kind of say they were gifted it there at the end, but at the end of the day, they did play a football game that kept them competitive in the game and in a position to win, given an untimely fumble by Jaden Daniels there at the end. However, this Bears team is favored minus 4.5 points at home versus the Saints, over under a 46.5. Mike, where are you going in this one?
I'm not going with a winner in this game, or plus or minus points. I'm going to take an over here. Both of these defenses have been kind of porous. They've given up a lot of points, but they've also performed admirably on offense, both of these teams. Spencer Rattler has performed far past people's expectations of him, and Caleb Williams is continuing to get better inside that system. And if they can find a way to get DeAndre Swift going like they did last game, I think we can see a lot of points for two defenses that don't necessarily stop anybody. So I'm taking the over because it's only 46.5. That feels pretty low for these two teams that don't play very good defense. I like an over here.
All right. I actually hated this game. I hated picking it because
that's exactly why I ended up with 46 over 46.5.
Not a huge fan of the Bears in general. Obviously, I picked them to get the points last week, and they ended up winning, which worked out for me. But this is a short week. I don't have a ton of confidence in Caleb Williams. Again, compliments to him in not getting those sacks, but on a short week, I don't know if he's going to be able to pick up everything that they need to do in order to face a Saints team, which the Saints team is very bad, but we have seen Spencer Rattler play pretty fucking good. And I think that given the extra time that the Saints will have had preparation, that they actually could keep this one somewhat close. Now, going into Chicago and playing is definitely a difficult situation, but 4.5 points. I think that they could keep this within that field goal range. So I'm going to take New Orleans plus the points in this one. And I feel a little dirty about it.
Oh, listen, man, I think Spencer Rattler he's going to find a way to get this team a win. I'm really impressed by the way this kid has played so far on a team that I didn't think was going to be competitive at all. He's done a good job of helping that offense out. So I can completely understand taking the Saints plus the points. I mean, they might win this fucking thing. You never know with the Bears.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got your game. Miami Dolphins going into Cleveland. The Browns are favored in this one, minus 2.5 points, over under of 35.5. And you have to look at that and say, holy shit, that's a really, really low over under. But
it might not
we
be
have to take
enough.
weather into account here. Early reports were very high winds, I believe up to 50 miles per hour. And last I saw, there's some potential for heavy precipitation there. Do you have any updates on the weather for this game, Mike?
I have a friend who can give us an update real quick. Hey, Sleeves, can you give me the weather projected for the Browns-Dolphins game, Week 7 of the NFL 2025?
Sure thing. For the Browns-Dolphins game in Week 7, it's looking like heavy rain with about a 94% chance and some strong winds at 50 to 60 miles an hour. So it's going to be a wild one out there.
Appreciate your Sleeves.
All right.
Anytime, Mike. You know I'm here for you.
Stop. I get it. Stop trying to butter me. Yeah.
I'm here for you. Anything you need. Something under the table, Mike. Go.
I did make him British for a reason.
Yeah. So, big Harold fan game here if they were going to be throwing the ball around because Njoku's going to be sitting in this one. Yep. That being said, expect a run game. Like passing in this one is going to be difficult. Your Browns have a really good defense. The Dolphins have a good running back in Devon Achane and a bit of a thumper in Ollie Gordon, but they haven't really leaned into that too much. It's been more about the pass game. We've seen Darren Waller get more involved. Obviously, Jalen Waddle, he's being thrown around and bantied in trade talks. And Tua has been good for a passing touchdown pretty much every week for like the past year and a half. That being said, that offense is predicated a lot on passing the ball. Yours, the one thing that I think is potentially successful with your offense is that run game behind Quinshon Judkins. So this game, for me, leans a lot towards your Browns. I don't trust your Browns, though. I'm not dropping the points. I'm going to just take them on the money line in this one. But if it wasn't for the weather, I think that this would be a little bit more of an interesting matchup because the Dolphins have shown the propensity to be able to put up some points. And so prior to the weather, I was taking the Dolphins plus the points. But at this point, with that weather involved and the necessitation of force the ball on the ground, I'm going to lean your Browns. And it still scares me because you would think that they would have done that in previous weeks, regardless of the weather. And then Stefanski wants to go out there and have Dylan Gabriel swing the ball 50 fucking times. It doesn't make sense. And so a lot of things in this game might not make sense.
I remember watching Kevin Stefanski call a game for Deshaun Watson in the fucking freezing cold. But like, I think it was like freezing rain, windy as shit. There's a little bit of snow on the ground. Terrible fucking day. I think he ended up throwing it like 30 times. I don't trust Kevin Stefanski as far as I can throw his ass at all. I'm done with Kevin. I do not trust this team. I would love to say that the Browns are going to find a way to win. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to bear the elements tomorrow. Me and producer Amber, we're going to go sit out there in those 50, 60 mile an hour winds, rain, cold as fuck, and I'm probably going to watch the Browns lose. Because you're right. This is going to be a running game. It's all predicated on who can run the ball better. Well, when you know that, both teams know that, they're going to line up and they're going to approach we have to stop the run. Now you're going to get into a game of who's more fucking creative with the way that they can run the ball. It ain't Kevin Stefanski. It's Mike McDaniel. way more creative with the way they can run the ball, with the way they can get the ball in the playmaker's hands. You can give Jalen Waddle end arounds. You can do a lot of different things. I don't know that Kevin has that in his repertoire. And if we run an end around, I would be shocked if it gains fucking yards because it's no longer the preseason. I am taking the Dolphins on the money line because I think the Browns are dog shit because they're coached by a goddamn schmuck.
All right. Hey, you bring up a good point. Creativity is one of those things that works really well in the coked out brain of Mike McDaniel. So I get it from that respect. And, maybe Miami is used to a little bit more of the wet weather and stuff like that. The cold, maybe not so much, but the moisture, maybe they'll be used to that. Get wet down there in Miami.
Maybe. Something better happen.
All righty. And we will be tepidly watching to see if a head coach is no longer within our organization after this game. All right, next up, we got a banger here. Carolina Panthers going into New York versus the Jets. Panthers are favored in this one, minus a 1.5, over under 41.5. Chubba Hubbard back out there practicing, getting some first-team reps. I don't like to see it. Keep running with the hot hand, Rico Dowdle, man. Keep doing it. And I feel like they probably will still favor Dowdle a little bit, ease Chubba Hubbard back into this one. But they are going up against a Jets team that just seems very anemic at this point to do anything defensively, offensively. Doesn't really matter. I honestly kind of figured that the Jets would, the Panthers would be favored more in this one. But they are favored by a 1.5. Again, you take into that 3-point spread. They are more or less favored by 4.5 in this game. But Mike, what are your thoughts on this game? Where are you going with this one?
This game sucks, just like the last one we talked about sucks. I don't like either one of these teams. The Jets are very clearly bad. Their quarterback situation is abysmal. I mean, it has been for a long time. It's about the same as the goddamn Browns. But, Justin Fields' last week's performance was an indictment. You had negative net yards. How they come back from that, I don't know. But guys like Breece Hall saying, I want to stay here. I don't want to leave. They believe in that coach, I think, is what's going on. I believe that Coach Glenn is like getting these guys inspired to still fucking play, even though their quarterback is tanking their chances. I would not be surprised if there's a change made in this game where we see Justin Fields come out and Tyrod goes in. I like the Jets in this game because if they're gonna get a game, this might be it because they're terrible. They're really bad right now. But you're running up against the Panthers team who also has the propensity to be pretty fucking bad at times. I'm going to take the Jets plus the points here, and this is just a straight plum pick because I do not think that they are necessarily better. But when you get guys rallying to stay here, no matter how bad it is, and you get a team that's kind of shitty, I like that momentum. I like the vibe that goes there. So I'm gonna ride with the Jets plus the points.
All right. That makes some sense to me for sure. I can't bring myself to bet on the Jets, though.
Understood. Yeah, completely get that.
and that's kind of where I'm standing on it. I'm going to take Carolina on the money line here, and I don't feel great about it because just like you said, look, Carolina has had a good couple weeks, but they do have the propensity to play a very bad style of football. I don't have faith in Bryce Young, despite him playing okay at times. I just don't have faith in the team. So it's only a 1.5, but I don't have the faith in order to drop the points. And I absolutely don't have faith in the Jets right now because the Jets have just not been playing good football at all. Outside of week 1, where they really kept it close with that Steelers team. And when they ended up dropping it to the Bucks, like they played an okay game there. But I'm not seeing it with the Jets at this point, as I'm just going to take Carolina on the money line.
I completely understand that. It's a nice, safe bet for sure, brother.
Yep. All right, next up, New England Patriots going into the Tennessee Titans. This is the ass-whoop game of the week. Mike Vrabel probably not even saying anything in the locker room. The guys probably just know. This is one that he wants. You get this one for coach. And the Patriots are favored in this one, minus 6.5 points, over under of 42.5. Tennessee Titans, new head coach, Mike McCoy in there. Is there going to be any sort of a boost from McCoy? I wouldn't bank on it personally, just because I don't think that they have the roster that gives you that sort of a boost. 6.5 points is probably right. If anything, I would be willing to say it's going to be more than 6.5 points. That being said, I'm still going to hedge my bets. I'm going to New England on the money line. Okay. I'm just going to go New England on the money
line. So I expect Vrabel to absolutely just wipe his dick all over Tennessee. He is going to run this thing up if he has the opportunity. 6.5, in my opinion, is not enough. I am dropping the 6.5. The Patriots are going to continue to find ways to make it work. Listen, Drake May is a baller. They got some dudes that are interesting pieces. If you get the ball in their hands, they can make some things happen after the catch. They just got to get open first. They run the ball really well. They just can't turn it over. That's the thing that has killed the Patriots team this year is turnovers. If they don't turn the ball over against this Titans team, which has not been great on defense, yeah, I think they're going to kick the shit out of this team. I'm dropping the points. Patriots minus 6.5.
All righty. Next up, Colts and Chargers in a pretty damn interesting game here. Chargers are favored at home minus 1.5, over under at 48.5. And we've got the number one team in the AFC with the Colts going up against the Chargers. A lot of the scuttlebutt out there has been the Colts haven't played really, really good competitive teams, and the ones that they have been close in like the Broncos, which I get. It's a fair criticism, and we want to see them go up against better teams. They're going up against a Chargers team that is going to be without Quentin Johnson, who has exceeded expectations this year, and also a bit of a battered offensive line there for the Chargers. However, the Chargers are still favored in this one. So, Mike, do you think that we're going to be able to see a continuation of Indiana Jones, or is this actually going to be a close game, kind of like Vegas is expecting it to be, with the edge kind of going to that home team?
I expect that we will see a close game, but I don't know that we're going to see the edge go to the home team. I'm rocking with the Colts in this one. I'm going to take the points. Jonathan Taylor has been an absolute fucking revelation. Like, he looks like that dude from a few years ago. Is like he's going to be one of the lead backs in this league. He's been exceptional, probably the best back in the league right now. I could go back and look fantasy wise, but he might be that guy right now, fantasy wise as well. So it doesn't have to be all Daniel Jones. We talked about it last week. Some of the weapons that these guys got, we drastically underrated at the beginning of the season for this Colts team. Like, they are good on offense. They are good on defense. Obviously, we know the Chargers can be good. We like Herbert. We saw what this team can do at the beginning of the year. I don't know that this Colts team is going to fall down. Like, I'm not waiting for this crash back to earth by Daniel Jones at this point. He's thrown picks. He's made mistakes. And this team has mitigated all of that and continued to win. So even if Daniel Jones isn't perfect, they can still win this game. So I'm going to take the Colts plus the points, man.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. I really like this Colts team. I feel like this is one that actually could be pretty close. We might see a Keenan Allen heavy game here. And I'd like to see more of my guy, Aronde Gadsden, at tight end get involved. The FanDuel lines for him on receptions has steadily gone up week in and week out because he's getting more involved. And, of course, I want to see my guy Kamani Vidal show a second week in a row, just like Rico Dowdle did last week. I want to see Kamani Vidal have another good game there for the Chargers. That being said, this Colts team is legit, offense and defense. I was surprised to find out that the Colts actually are allowing quite a bit of passing yards. They have, I believe, like the 31st ranked pass defense, which kind of blew me away because I do think this defense is actually performing very admirably. But when they're able to get balls out to receivers, those receivers are picking up quite a bit of yardage. And then we actually did see Justin Herbert last week show why he is one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. He really put the game on his shoulders there at the end and showed us some good stuff. But I'm going to continue to lean with the Colts here. I also will take the 1.5. And I don't think that the Chargers actually have much of a home field advantage playing there in LA. Just because it is a split stadium. It's usual that a lot of fans from other teams end up showing up there. So I don't buy a ton of home field advantage to them. But this I expect to be a pretty fucking interesting game. Pretty good game to watch.
Agreed.
All right. Next up, New York Giants going into Denver versus the Broncos. Broncos are favored by 7 points in this one, a full touchdown, over under of 40.5. Really good Broncos defense, offense that is steady, not fantastic, but they continue to just kind of trudge along and put up points. And that has been a winning solution for them as of late. And then the Giants have a fun offense. We'll call it that. It's fun.
DTE tag team, baby.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because that 7 points seems really enticing to give to the Giants there. Because this Giants team has a lot more to them than I think was previously expected, and Jackson's art is really pulling that out of everybody. I'm going to go with the wife play here. I'm going to take the Broncos on the money line to win this one. I think that the Giants could keep this competitive, though, which really makes that +7 number very enticing.
So I almost never bet the spread when it's an even number. I need a hook otherwise, because I just, unless it's like an even number like 4, where I know how it's going to change. So I'm rocking the Broncos money line as well. The Giants are fun to watch, man, because they're young, they're exciting, the personalities are cool. And the Broncos team is kind of boring to watch, in my opinion. They play really good defense and a vanilla-ass offense, and they get it done. I think that boring will probably win out the day just because there's more talent on the Broncos team than there is on this Giants team. Though this Giants team is improving, and listen, Vibe Kings over there, like I'm telling you, you change the entire dynamic. Just get rid of Russell Wilson and bring back Tommy. That's the only change you got to make, and your season skyrockets. Nobody even is going to notice the fucking difference on the field, but I guarantee you the vibes in that locker room change immediately if you just let Russell go, let him go retire, let him go try to compete for a spot whoever's got a fucking injury. Like, let him go. You don't need him. You got Jameis. You got Tommy. Tommy has won games for you. Make the change, Giants fans. I know you want it. I think it could really propel their season.
Yeah. All right, next up, Washington Commanders versus Dallas Cowboys. A little bit of a rivalry game here. Cowboys are favored at home by 1.5, over under a 54.5. CeeDee Lamb back in this game. We'll see how much that cuts into George Pickens' production. But that being said, this Dallas Cowboys offense, again, they look like the Cincinnati Bengals from last year, or maybe the Cincinnati Bengals from Thursday night. They have the ability to kind of strike you all over on the offense. Javonte Williams is running the ball good. You now have 2 really good wide receivers and 1 really good tight end that are going to be out there. And the Commanders are coming off of a bit of a shorter week here, getting the loss, playing at home, getting that loss versus a Bears team because of some of their own internal issues, turnovers, things like that. I was actually surprised by this one that the Cowboys weren't favored by more, just because the Commanders right now just kind of seem like a middling team, despite having a really good quarterback there in Jaden Daniels. Terry McLaurin out again. They are down to just Corey Cross-Merritt there at running back for the most part. So their offensive pieces, their weapons are kind of down, whereas Dallas Cowboys, they're getting more offensive weapons back, and that was already the healthy part of their team that was doing really good. So, Mike, where are you leaning in this one?
I think that this Dallas Cowboys defense is absolutely atrocious. I'm glad that they're getting CD back, but they're still going to get a lot of points put up on them. Jaden Daniels coming off of a week last week where the mistake, the onus of that loss is kind of on him. They're late in the game. I expect him to have a huge bounce back week. I think he could have big yards. I think he have 2-3 touchdowns in this thing. I like the Commanders on the money line. Now, I understand that, Terry's out. They're hurt at running back. This team still has found ways to compete, and they don't have to be special against this Dallas Cowboys defense. They're going to let somebody loose, and Jaden doesn't miss dudes like that typically. So I'm going to take the Commanders. I understand why you would think that the Cowboys should be a little bit more favorited. Obviously, Commanders coming off the loss, stupid mistakes that cost them that game. Getting CD Lamb back, I am not sold that the Commanders are not good and that Jaden Daniels is not that guy. I think he beats Dak, outduels Dak in a high-scoring game here.
All right. I'm going with Dallas on the money line here. This is that Cincinnati Bengals glass cannon build. They're going to put up points on offense, and I don't know that the Commanders can keep pace with it. That's my concern. Commanders' defense is average, and right now their offense looks to be operating average. Yes, some of those turnovers can be attributed to the weather that they had in their last game, and I don't expect them to necessarily have a bunch of turnovers in this game because I don't have faith in that Cowboys defense. Also, Trevon Diggs down, got himself concussed at home. Figure that shit out. But I don't think that he's that big of a chain mover on the defense either. So, like, I think that Dallas, they're going to give like a healthy amount of points, 24 to 30 points. But I also think that Dallas can put up 30 or more points on any given Sunday. So I'm going to go ahead and take Dallas at home in this one on the money line.
All right.
All right, next up, Green Bay Packers going into Arizona versus the Cardinals. I don't know if we have a starting quarterback for this one yet because Kyler Murray has been limited, still nursing that injury. You have Black Ops 7 coming out shortly, but Battlefield is out, that whole narrative. And I don't feel great about this Cardinals team unless I know that Jacoby Brissett is going to be playing. This is probably a question that we should ask Sleeves. Do we know who the starter is going to be for this Cardinals game?
Let me ask him. Hey, Sleeves, do we know who the starting quarterback for the Cardinals is going to be this week? I can hear him thinking.
Kyler Murray is questionable for week 7. So if he's not able to go, Jacoby Brissett would be the starter for the Cardinals.
Thanks, Sleeves. You told us what we already knew, but I appreciate it, brother.
Anytime, mate.
And what I can kind of find out there in the other news sources as of 23 hours ago from ESPN, that the Cardinals are intentionally being vague about Murray's status. He is going into the week questionable. In the last 48 hours leading up to it, they aren't kind of lifting the skirt to say who's going to be playing.
I thought that was against the rules now, where you can't be tricky with how you word shit in your injury report. Like,
so they can leave people questionable as a game time decision. They don't have to say who the starter is going to be. And that's kind of where they've left him right now, is that he's questionable. He's practiced in some capacity this week, but going in with an injury designation of questionable, and they haven't named a starter. That's the scary part of this for me, is that I don't know if Jacoby Brissett's going to be out there. That being said, I don't really care. I'm taking Green Bay Packers on the money line. They're a better team. I think that the Cardinals are dysfunctional right now. And while I don't like Green Bay and I don't like the brand of football that they play, I just think that they're better than the Cardinals at this point.
I agree, brother. I'm going to tell you here, Packers on the money line. The Cardinals, I think Jacoby Brissett would be a fun thing to watch again, see how he continues to perform with this offense. See what, because Marvin Harrison is in this game, right? He's not out with a concussion? I
believe so, yes.
Okay. So, like, I would like to see that continue to grow to see if it's Marv or if it's Kyler. But it won't matter. The Packers are better. They're just a better team. So Packers money line.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, if I had the knowledge that Jacoby was going to start and the line was still 6.5 points here,
you would consider Cardinals plus the points?
I would be heavily leaning towards Cardinals plus the points because the Packers don't blow anyone out. And Jacoby showed me enough last week that there's offensive pieces on this Cardinals team that if they get fed the ball appropriately and that you don't have that Kyler vibe back there, that they can kind of stay competitive with the team. I mean, they did it with the Colts, who I have a lot of respect for. So we don't know. And so the safer bet for me here is that Green Bay money line. And same for you on that one. Great. All right, next up, Atlanta Falcons going into San Francisco versus the 49ers. 49ers are favored at home, -1.5. Getting George Kittle back, which is a good thing for him, but we are not seeing Brock Purdy once again deactivated for this game. Going to be a Mac Jones game. Over under a 46.5 in this one. An interesting stat that I have for you here. Shout out Barstool Sports Advisors for this one. And just keep this in mind for later in the show. But since the start of last season, the 49ers are 6-17 in the third quarter with the spread, including going 0-6 against that spread this season. So if you look on your betting websites, you can actually find quarter-by-quarter spreads. And San Francisco does not come out of that locker room playing a good brand of football, it seems. Not just this year where they're 0-16, but over the past season and a half now. So something that's interesting to keep in mind if you're looking to put a little bit of a bet out there for something. I had a talk with my boy Blitz this morning about it, and he seemed very intrigued. The Red Rocket got a little bit more plump and veiny when I told him that. So just something to be aware of. That being said, Atlanta, big game last week.
Yeah.
Definitely showed out versus the Bills. We saw a huge Bijan day, and I feel like we probably are having a lot of people out there looking like, hey, Atlanta's getting 1.5 points in this one. Bijan just went off. Drake London had a fantastic game. Penix is looking pretty darn good. Why are they not favored in this one?
Because it's the 49ers. The Falcons are traveling all the way out there, all the way across the country, East Coast to West Coast. And I think that the addition of George Kittle is going to be a really big boost for Mac Jones. The drop-off from Brock Purdy to Mac Jones hasn't been drastic by any means. I think that 49ers team is basically still the team that they have been when Mac is out there. So you get George back. That's going to improve your running game because he's an exceptional blocker. It also improves your passing game, more weapons on the field. So I can understand why the 49ers are favored, and that's who I'm taking in this game. I'm taking them on the money line. And this is actually not me trying to go at Falcons fans this week. I just like this 49ers team. I think the Mac is playing a pretty decent brand of football. Obviously, last week, a couple picks, right? He's still Mac Jones. But I think the boost, getting George back, getting the running game going against this Falcons team, I think will pay dividends. Now, obviously, Bijan, big-time threat. Exceptional fucking football player. So he could make a lot of things happen. But I'm just going to rock. I'm rocking with the 49ers, man.
All right. Hey, I get it. I don't know that Kittle's going to necessarily provide the same sort of boost because while I do think Kittle's fantastic, he is coming off what he was quoted as saying a fully torn hamstring that is now recovered. We see guys with just hamstring pulls who are out as long as he is, and it still takes him a little bit to get back into the rhythm. To have what Kittle is saying was a complete tear.
Do you believe that, though?
I believe that he probably tore his hamstring. I think he's probably being a little bit overzealous saying it's a complete tear, but I would believe there's a potential hamstring tear.
Sure, a potential hamstring tear. Yeah, but that's what a strain is. It's like when you pull your hamstring, it's a small tear. I just don't. If he tore his entire hamstring, he wouldn't have walked off the fucking field.
Yeah, absolutely. That being said, like I still think that Tongues has been performing admirably with this team.
Yeah.
And so we're not necessarily. I don't think we're getting some sort of a monumental boost by Kittle being back out there. I think Ricky Pearsall is also still kind of questionable for this one, possibly not going to be playing. Juwan Jennings constantly injured as well. Like I'm scared about the injury status of this team. And props to Atlanta. Their defense has actually been playing very good. I'll take Atlanta plus the points in this one. I don't like it because of the shit that I just kind of said beforehand. After that last win, you would think Atlanta would be favored maybe in this game, not getting 1.5 points. And normally when we say that, them being confused about it, we're wrong. I guess I don't learn. So I'm going to take the 1.5 here for Atlanta.
Okay. I feel that for sure.
All right. Next up, that was our Sunday night football game.
What's Sunday? Two Monday night games. Bullshit. Two Monday night games.
You know, I don't know how much we can beat this fucking dead horse. What the fuck are we doing with two Monday night games? Fucking stupid scumbag move. Dirtbag NFL. Anyways, first game, Tampa Bay at Detroit. At least we're getting a good one.
This is
right?
This is a banger game.
And the early one is the better of the two. So Tampa Bay at Detroit here. Tampa Bay again without a bunch of their offensive starters. No Emeka Egbuka, no Bucky Irving. Didn't seem to really matter too much. They are possibly getting Mike Evans back. The ageless Mike Evans. But Detroit is favored in this game at home, -6.5 points, over under a 52.5. Mike, what are your thoughts on this game after Detroit just lost one in heartbreaking fashion in Kansas City?
Interesting matchup here. Defensively, the Bucs are not great at stopping the run. The Lions are really good at running the ball. The Lions are not necessarily great at stopping the pass. Baker Mayfield playing MVP caliber football. So I think it's going to be a really fun game. Stylistically, we're going to see, I think, a lot of points potentially. When you're talking about a lot of points, you're talking about two really, really good teams. And you're talking about, because now I saw this earlier at 5.5. You're saying now it's grown to 6.5. This Bucs team's pretty good. Like, give me the 6.5 points when I took it earlier at 5.5. I understand that they're hurt. I understand they're banged up, but they're not any more banged up than they were fucking last week. And they're getting Mike back. I'm pretty sure he's going to play. And Mike Evans coming back from injury has been pretty goddamn good. So I'm going to take the Bucs, and I'm going to take 6.5 points because that feels like just thank you for 6.5 points here. Both teams very good, which is why I will take all of those extra points.
Yeah, look, and I was definitely on the Tampa Bay plus 6.5 in this one as well, because I think that this could end up being a bit of a shootout. And both teams, like you have Detroit, their secondary is rough right now. They're picking up no-name guys off the street again. I saw this week and add them to the practice squad, which is scary to me. If you have a Tampa Bay offense where Baker is just kind of able to find guys and get him the ball. And obviously we know that Detroit has the capability to put up a lot of points offensively. They didn't do it last week, which means they're going to lean heavy into it this week to try to figure that out. And so while I was leaning towards taking Tampa Bay plus the 6.5 points, I was like, wait a second, you just said this is going to be a shootout. Over under a 52.5. I'm taking the over on this one because I think that we could see teams this be like a 30-30 game again, a 27-30, something like that.
31-27.
Which that ends up beating that over. So I'm looking forward to hopefully a fun offensive matchup in this game and beating that over.
All right, man. I like that a lot. I mean, I just kind of laid it out. I expect there to be a lot of points in this game stylistically. So I'm going with extra points. You're taking the over. I like that a lot. Let's go to this last Monday night game, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up. These motherfuckers, 10 o'clock game.
All right, we have the Houston Texans going out to Seattle versus the Seahawks. Seahawks are favored at home -3 points, over under a 41.5. We recently have seen a couple better games from the Texans, but Seattle has been relatively dominant overall. This is a defense in the Texans going up against a pretty solid team overall here in the Seahawks. And being that they're overall probably better is why the Seahawks are favored, plus being at home up there in the Northwest. Mike, what are your thoughts on this game? Is Houston actually becoming a little bit of a better team here, or was that just the level of competition that they were playing against?
Well, I thought the Texans were on bye last week. Yes or no? Who did they play last week?
They didn't play last week on bye, but their previous two games, Ravens and Titans, they were able to put up 44 points against. Games. Yeah, they were able to put up 44 points against the Ravens and 26-0 versus the Titans.
So I think that they are defensively very good. They always have been defensively very good. Is the offense getting better? I'm not sure. We'll see when they go up against a pretty good defense this week in the Seahawks team. The Seahawks team has been really good. They're good at home. But the Seahawks offense has been the bane of my goddamn fantasy existence. I know you as well. I don't understand what the hell they're doing with their running back situation. And this Texans team is really good defensively. So I think that there's a chance that the Texans could win this game, but definitely keep it close because of how good that defense is and how inconsistent the running game is for the Seahawks. Control the line of scrimmage, control the running game, you control the entire game script. So give me the Texans plus the points and them trying to control this game defensively and trying to slow everything down a little bit. because the Seahawks, I don't know if they're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. They're going to have to get the ball out quick. Maybe we'll see a JSN deep shot, but I mean, you got to give them time to do that. So I'm rocking Texans plus points.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to go with Seattle on the money line here. I just think they're a better team. I am not sold on the offense from the Texans. That being said, this could end up being like a 17-13 style matchup just because that Texans defense is really good. And like you said, I struggle with the running game here in Seattle. It seems like they should have a good running game, and they do not want to give the ball to their best running back. They want to continue this insane timeshare between Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. And that sounds like I don't like Zach Charbonnet. I do. It's just the split percentage to me does not make sense. Again, I've broken this down. 1st and 10, Kenneth Walker will be out there. If they don't pick up 5 yards or more on that first down, Kenneth Walker's out. 2nd down and longer, Charbonnet's in. 3rd down at all, Charbonnet's in. If they are further than 10 yards away from a first down, Zach Charbonnet's in. They are completely neutering their running game by not feeding the ball to Charbonnet, feeding the ball to Walker. And it pisses me off to the point that I've had to sit Kenneth Walker on my fantasy football bench because it's so inconsistent. He's the better runner. They are going up against a good defense though. And so maybe that running game gets stifled a little bit. That's I could see it being a little bit lower scoring potentially. But I do like the overall complexity of this Seattle team better than I do with the Texans. I don't trust that offense quite so much. So I'm going to take Seattle on the money line.
All right, brother. So that's it. That was the last game, but we got Blitz's big ass bet. He's got an interesting one for us today. Some things I was not expecting in there.
Yeah. So like I talked about, that Atlanta game. San Francisco doesn't do good with those spreads. So Atlanta's getting 1.5 as a third quarter spread at -148. And Blitz decided, fuck it, I'm going with it. He also went with something that he's gone with the past 2 weeks that has hit. And I have to look back. I don't know if this hasn't hit all season. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 or more rushing yards in the first quarter. It just seems like kind of a given.
Can't stop the run very well as well. That feels pretty good.
And a Dan Campbell-led team that likes to shove it down your throat. He likes to give Gibbs the ball, and Gibbs gets started early. So that's one that has been hitting. And obviously, Blitz was a real good boy last week and gave us a winner at almost plus 800 odds. And so also, we have Javonte Williams there in this Dallas game going over 64.5 rushing yards through the entirety of the game. So
if they get up, if we're expecting high scoring from that game, we could see a lot of yards from both sides in that one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is Blitz's big ass bet for the week, giving you plus 495 odds. Another opportunity for Blitz to have 2 weeks in a row where he gets you some money in your pocket if you want to bet along with us.
Hell yeah. I like it, Blitz. I like it. That plus 1.5 third quarter spread. That's the one that it takes a little digging. So hell yeah. Thanks for dropping that in Blitz's ear, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if it actually falls through. And look, and if it doesn't, Blitz will blame me, and I'll blame Barstool on this one for giving out that stat.
Oh man, brother, we got any other things to talk about? Oh, here we go. There's all of the picks.
This will be our picks of the week.
Yeah, I'm rocking 50.5%. You're at 59.1. I off to a good start, so that's helpful. I need big week here. I need a big week. I got to get back up. I want to be up over that 55 at least. That's where I feel is at the minimum where I should be. 53% last year doing nothing but spreads. So I feel like I got to be at least over that if I'm adding in money lines and over unders. So I need a big week here.
Yeah, absolutely. But everyone, go ahead, take a little screen cap of this, take it to your sports book, see if you want to bet along. You don't got to bet every single game. We do, because we want to give you our thoughts on every single game, but you don't have to bet every single game. And you can take a little bit of the information that we gave you and maybe make yourself a little parlay. Add in a same game parlay for some players, things like that. Have a little bit of fun with it. Obviously, always bet responsibly. Don't do something stupid.
100%, guys. We have a lot of fun doing this, but don't bet outside your means. It's very, very important that you gamble responsibly, because then we're gonna have to stop doing things like this. They won't allow us to do things like this if you guys start dumping your entire fucking life savings into FanDuel. They'll appreciate it, but don't do that. With that, guys, we're gonna get the fuck out of here. Before we do that, though, I just want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime that you give some of us yours, we are forever grateful. Evo, give the people one last word, and then we'll get the fuck out of here.
Going to be out in your neck of the woods here right around Halloween time. Looking forward to seeing the boys. So on the very off chance that the boys are getting the opportunity to watch me today, because, you know, they're not allowed to even know that they have family out here. I love you. See you soon. Really looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, boys. Brother, appreciate you. Love you. When you're in town or when you're around, let us know. We'll see what we can make happen. But guys, this is Raw Dog Sports. Thank you very much. We'll be back Tuesday night to recap how all of our picks went. But until then, we're getting the fuck out of here. See you.